Welcome to your pose of the week. This week, we're taking a look at a hip stretch called the jackknife blaster pose. This can be a pretty intense stretch, so I'm going to show you some modifications that you can use or suggest props that you could use to help make this pose work for your body and meet your body where it's at on that day and help support the needs that it may have. So the best thing to do is just go ahead and jump right into this pose, and I will talk you through different modifications and a little bit as to what is going on in our stretching. So first off, you're going to need a blank space. By that, I mean either a wall or these are some closet doors. Make sure the doors are closed, obviously, or a closed door, which is my favorite thing to use. I have used other items in the home to help with this pose as well, so feel free to get creative. This is also one that you can practice in your bed. If you have a headboard, that works just as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in, and I will walk you through some different modifications and some ideas that you can use in your practice at home. To start off, we're going to come into a tabletop position, and I'm going to show you something from this angle, and then I'm going to do the rest from the door. So hang with me here. All right. You're going to come into a tabletop position. You're going to walk your knees underneath your hips, about hips width apart, and your hands come underneath your shoulder, shoulder width apart. We'll start on the right side here. So you're going to squeeze the right heel in towards the body, and you want to wedge your knee up against that space where the wall and the floor meet. It's really, really important that you keep your knee wedged in this space because it's the safest, supportive place for this knee to be in. The right shin is going to lay up against the wall, and your toes are going to be pointing towards the sky. All right, so this is where we're going to be at right here. I'm going to move over to the door so I can show you some modifications that you can use. So stay where you're at. All right, knee is wedged up against the wall. You have options here. So option one, the left knee is going to stay bent, and you're going to come down to your forearms. Palms turn up towards the sky and let the head hang. So there's option one. Option two, the left knee stays where it's at, but you're going to straighten your arm. Spread your fingers, relax the neck, relax the shoulders, let the head hang. Option three, arms are straight, but you're going to come up onto the left toes. So, but the knee is going to come to the outside of the left arm. Your arms are going to be on the inside of the knee. You can stay right here, relax here. Maybe after you stay here for a breath or so or a couple of minutes, then you can lunge the left foot forward to the outside of the left pinky. All right. You want to heel toe your foot forward until the knee is either directly over. So you have the ankles right underneath the knee or slightly in front of your knee. Now you're still lifted upright. You want to allow the hips to relax down, forward, relax the muscles in your shoulders, your neck. Let your head hang. Fingers are spread. And stay right here. Really starting to feel the hip flexors and the quad muscles on the front side of the right thigh firing up. You might start to feel a little bit of a stretch on the inside of the left leg, getting into the adductors. You might feel this in other places too, and that's great. As long as there's no sharp shooting pain, if there's any sharp shooting pain, you need to back out and use some modifications to help support the body, but still find the stretch. Now, another option that you use, maybe you're in this version, but you still need a little bit of support. Place some blocks underneath your hands. Spread the fingers, relax the head. You have 3 different heights here. I don't particularly like this highest height because it feels a little unstable. My advice, if you find that you need to go to that highest height, is either stack some blocks on top of one another. So yeah, you'll need 4 blocks for that. Or maybe you come all the way up and put your forearms up on a chair. Now maybe you're on your blocks here and you need to deepen the stretch a little. You can come on down to your forearms and rest here. Again, making sure that the hips are relaxing forward and down. Keep an eye on this left heel here. It gets a little sneaky, pushing you out of this pose. So you can come down to forearms on your blocks, or maybe you come down to forearms on the ground. You can also, if you feel super flexy, go ahead and come on out of this pose here. If you're feeling super flexy, you can lower your torso all the way down to the ground and extend your arms long out overhead. Now there's one thing I want to note. I'm going to come on this side again so I can actually switch off sides here so you can see this leg. One thing I want you to know, again, make sure as you're lunging forward, this ankle is either right under the knee or in front of the knee. Allow, when you start off, you'll feel your torso upright. If this is where you need to be just for a few breaths or so, that's great, because after time, you'll create some space to allow the hips to lunge forward, and then you can drop down in the middle. Make sure if you are here and the toes are pointing forward and you feel the knees start to drop out towards the right, to slightly turn your toes out to the right to have your toes and your knees stay in alignment. Foot stays planted down. Now, I don't want to see any of this business. Maybe I'll come on this side. I only have limited space in my little apartment here, but we're making it work. I always do. You want to make sure this foot is down. You don't want to come up onto the outer edge of the foot and then drop into the pose that way. That is a different pose and accesses the stretch in a different manner, but it's getting into the muscles that we're not really trying to focus on in this pose. So that's a great stretch, but for jackknife, you want to make sure the foot stays planted down. The toes are either pointed forward to the top of your mat or just to the front of the room if you're not using a mat. But if you find that your knee starts to drop out, you want to slightly turn your toes out towards the right so the knee and the toes can stay in alignment. Again, make sure that foot stays down. I find myself wanting to do the edge thing as well. So that's your jackknife blaster there. I will show you one more version that if you're practicing jackknife for quite a while and you need to deepen it even more, let me show you one more thing that you can do. I'll come up on, lift my right knee up. Maybe you're here, you're feeling good. Another option is you can interlace your fingers, hands rest on the thigh, lift your torso, and relax here. Really deepens the stretch on the hip flexors of the leg that the shin is up on the wall. So we have a little bit of stretching happening in our foot too, and our ankle, with the shin being up against the wall. So we're always sneaking in these ankle stretches. This is your foot plantar flexion. We're always sneaking ankle stuff in anywhere we can, especially in our hip stretches, because you can't, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, you can't really talk about or think about hip mobility and flexibility without looking at your ankle mobility as well. So if you don't have the strong ankles or good mobility there, it kind of puts everything else a little out of balance if you think about it as the foundational support of everything else in the body. So we'll see that pop up quite a bit as well. That is your jackknife blaster. You've got several versions there you can play with. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, keep an eye out for this stretch because it shows up quite a bit in our hip stretches. I hope to see you in class sometime. Happy stretching, and I'll see you soon.